semanas y ya digo que me ayuda bastante a, pues bueno, hay muchas situaciones de la vida diaria que antes no me suponían una decisión importante y que ahora sí que lo suponen y se las cuento y ella pues me ayuda un poquito a decidir cuál es la mejor opción para mí.
Our usual counselling service has been expanded during the pandemic, and we've been able to offer staff priority access to some psychological interventions. Pretty much all of those are being done remotely, either over the telephone or via video conferencing. And even with that, there has been quite a big uptake. But we do know from talking to staff that some people don't want to do that actually the idea of kind of talking to somebody through a computer or down the end of a phone doesn't work for them. So I think it does put some people off, and I think that does mean we don't reach some people with that approach.
Take a deep breath, count to 10. What's the best course of action? A favourite phrase of mine is I'm sure I irritate my colleagues when I will, quote great Stoic philosophers and talk about Stoicism. I will say this will pass. We know that if we keep going and work hard, we will get through it. And I use that, I look to the future. I'm forever an optimist.
We've also encouraged staff to use some of the more nationally available kind of tools, such as apps which have been made kind of free for health service staff. So that includes apps to help people sleep or to promote meditation as a way of kind of relaxing and self-soothing. It's hard to know how much that's being used. We haven't asked particularly for feedback, so it's difficult to know how much people have taken us up on that, but the offer is there.
If you just want to explore what your problems are, there are many unguided self-help interventions for insomnia, depression, stress out there, available free of charge because they are unguided. But there are also during the day a number of exercises you can do. It's relaxation or breathing or other types of exercises which maybe enable you to quit the stressful moment for a while and maybe feed yourself again with lower stress levels.
It's very difficult when you're not in the healthcare industry to try and understand what someone goes through on a daily basis. So family and friends were fantastic, but they don't truly understand or see what you've gone through. So my colleagues, my peers, my matron, they were all invaluable support to me throughout this time.
It's often after the event, after things have calmed down, once people are a bit less busy, once people have a bit of time to reflect, that some of the more challenging psychological kind of repercussions of that experience come to the fore. So I think we're very mindful of that and trying to think about how we can ensure that there isn't a sort of cliff edge, that, the support that's available for staff does continue, bearing in mind that we know that quite often, again, from psychological research about the impact of traumatic experiences, that actually those things often emerge much later, so years after difficult events.
También, aunque eso ha mejorado y ya no me ocurre, pues al principio tenía muchísimas pesadillas. En un primer momento eran pesadillas relacionadas con la pandemia y con el hospital y nunca descansaba, siempre que dormía seguía trabajando, pero después incluso eran pesadillas muy desagradables relacionadas con mi familia o con muertes o algo así, que ya no eran tan relacionadas con el virus o para nada relacionadas con el virus, pero eran muy desagradables y me despertaba muy horrorizada muchas veces. Y bueno, pues un poquito eso, que yo misma no me siento así, no me siento yo misma, porque hay muchas veces que no consigo estar a gusto o no consigo aceptar situaciones cotidianas de la vida diaria que antes no me suponían ningún problema.
We observe just what you see, increase insomnia, stress and burnout complaints, fatigue, depression, anxiety. And if you embed that in not only in their work-related environment, but you can imagine that they also have a family at home and maybe are confronted when they are at home to live in completely different circumstances, for example, because their kids are not going to school, or maybe they have parents who are ill. So specifically with these healthcare workers, there is both a mental and a physical workload, but also heavy stressors when you combine and look at them embedded in their social and family network.
I have a young daughter. She's 2.5, so the impact on my family was huge. As a frontline worker, I was going home every day, changing out of my uniform, but still very acutely aware that I needed to wash. I needed to sanitize my bits of equipment before my daughter could hug me, have any interaction. She was very young. She didn't understand why mummy wasn't hugging her when she came home from work. She couldn't understand why she couldn't go and spend time with her nanny and granddad because they were shielding at the time. She couldn't understand why daddy was home because daddy would always go to work.
In terms of the impact on family and work, in terms of the harder stuff, is I think people just recognise the tiredness and the sadness, where people have lost loved ones. We can't forget that. Where people have had their livelihoods really disrupted, people have lost employment, the financial issues, good friends and people that we know work in local communities in terms of businesses as restaurants and shops and that. So really, really mindful of that. So there's a residual sadness.
We embraced all the healthcare workers. I mean, we sing songs for them. They got flowers. It was really, we expressed our gratitude from the community perspective. And I see that now fading away. Maybe everyone is getting COVID tired. There's even aggression against healthcare workers. So I think it's extremely important if we want to support the mental and physical well-being of healthcare workers, that we have to not only provide them with mental health interventions, but also approach the community and say we have a social and community responsible to keep the healthcare system going.
Da li je svesen?
Skopje, javi.
Sluša Skopje.
Ekipa 5 Новоти, Владимир Комаров.
Обратете се екипа.
Лошо е, мислам, самиот страв, самата напнатост и кај нас вработените и општо и кај народот, значи зголемена напнатоста и од панични напади, и од страв, значи народот живее со страв како ќе биде утре, како ќе биде, значи за фамилијата, како ќе самите ти од денес до утре, како дали ќе има последици вирусот, дали врз здравјето понатака, дали моментално сега со вирусот. Стресот и стравот, значи присутен е кај сите.
Постои голем дефицит на здравствен персонал, сепак и ние сме луѓе како што сме изложени нели во првите борбени редови, може да се случи некој од нас да се зарази, па да биде во изолација, и откако ќе замине некој од колегите во изолација, ние мораме да извршиме замена на нивното место и нормално е дека имаме повеќе смени, сето тоа се рефлектира нормално и на сонот. Може да се одрази со некоја несоница, нели, и како што реков, и психичка напнатост, нервоза, која што нели допринесува не само на нас, туку и на нашата околина која што дома не чека.
Одиш нервозен дома, не можеш се тоа, све мислиш што, како, значи ти си дошол дома и помеѓу твоите, помеѓу фамилијата и сега мислиш дека ти уствари ништо не осеќаш, ама од кај знаеш, може носиш нешто.